Hello, my name is Nathan Gould. I'm a functional consultant with FormPipe, and in the video today I'd like to go through our latest integration between Autoform DM and Dynamics 365. So this integration is available from our latest release onwards, so that's LAC 6.18. And what it allows us to do is integrate between finance and operations and another FormPipe product called Autoform DM. Now what DM does is it's a document management and archiving tool. So this integration allows us to use the functionality from DM from natively within finance and operations. So no need to log into multiple places, no need to have multiple browsers or multiple windows open. The end user gets a seamless interaction with the DM functionality. So let's go into finance and operations and see what that would look like. So within my test instance here, if I go to accounts receivable and look at all customers, I've configured this on the customer list page. If we look at our Forest Wholesales customer, we can see there's a new button here called DM Search. If I click on that, it just takes a second to load, and then we can see all of our different documents which are linked to this customer. So here's our sales confirmation. We can see the file name, and we can get a preview of the document. So this is allowing us to use the search from within DM to display documents in finance and operations. No multiple tabs, nothing else to log into. The end user can just see the information that they need to see. So in order to get this set up and working, there's a couple of different things that we need to do. So the first thing we need is a copy of finance and operations with LAC 6.18 or newer installed. So I'll assume that everybody that's watching this video either has access to that or knows how to get access to it. And the next thing we need is an instance of Autoform DM. So for the sake of this training video, mine is installed on this VM here. This video isn't going to be about how to totally install and configure DM, but there are a couple of things that I want to pick up on which are relevant to the integration. So to do that, I'm going to go to administration, and there's three things that we're going to look at. There's the key definition, the document definition, and the application manager. So to begin with, our key here is a document key. This is what we're using as a search criteria to identify a particular document. So if we look at the customer name, for example, we're saying this is a string, so it's text, and it's linked to the document as a whole. And importantly, we've got both a user-friendly label and a system name. It's the system name that the integration is going to reference. So this system name is the one that we need to worry about most of the time. So the next thing we need to look at is our document definition. So a document definition is our document. Sales confirmation, sales invoice, quality order, something like that. They're going to largely relate to the queries and the forms that we have in LaserNet. So if we look at our sales confirmation, for example, here, we can see again, user-friendly name, system name, and then under document keys, we've got two of our keys from the previous screen. So the way we want to search for our sales confirmation is by using our customer name and our file name. These other keys, which say they're unbound, if we try and search for a sales confirmation by using the document name, it won't find it because that key isn't bound to this document. And the next thing we've got is an application. So the applications are how we search for things. So if we look at our DM search here, we can see again, username, system name. And at the bottom, we can see the different document definitions which are linked to this search. So we've looked at the configuration for the sales confirmation document definition with our two associated keys. But in this search application, we've actually got all of our different document definitions, the invoices, the confirmations, and the imported files. So when we look at our query, we've got the keys which link to all of those. So this from a very high level is the configuration in Autoform DM. Keys are what we use to search with. Documents are defined by keys. An application manager is a combination of keys and documents to allow us to identify the correct file. So that from a high level is the configuration in DM. In order to get DM to talk to finance and operations, there's one other thing that we need to configure, and that's an API key. So with this integration, rather than using the Azure Service Bus and the storage, we're using an API key. So if we click on this, you can see we've already got our test ones configured, but if we wanted to create a new one, there's a couple of things that we should be aware of. The label doesn't really matter. The run as identity should be a system user. So this is going to define the access that the integration has within DM. So I'm logged in as admin, so I'll leave this as admin, but it probably shouldn't be a named user, it should be a system user. So if we click generate, we can see this key is not stored. So if you're doing this configuration and you're not going to immediately copy the API key into finance and operations, you need to make sure that you store this somewhere sensible. But we've already got one, so I'm just going to revoke this API key. So within DM now, we've got our keys, our documents, our applications. We've got our API key, so we need to copy this into finance and operations. So we go into the LaserNet module and we go to connections, and here's our DM connection. So we create a new connection. This is one that I created before. Give it a sensible name. The connection type is storage. The storage type is Autoform DM. And in this API key box here, this is where we copy the API key we've just taken from DM. The site is the URL that you use to access DM. If, like me, yours is installed on a VM and you just have localhost as your URL, then you can get this site name from the DNS name of the VM. So that's all of our configuration for the connection between the two systems. So if we click validate, now our finance and operations environment is connected to DM. So the next thing we need to do is pull through some of that configuration that we did in DM into finance and operations. So we're going to go right the way to the end of our module list. Under the Autoform DM option, we've got metadata. So this system's already got all the metadata imported, but you can see what it is that we're looking for here. So our sales confirmation document definition that we were looking at here, these are the two keys that we use to define it. And we pull all of this information in by going to load metadata, selecting our connection, and then select all document definitions, and that will pull through all of the configuration that we've done in DM. It's already in here at the moment, but even if I click OK, it will just ask me if I want to update it. And here we've got exactly the same configuration now as we have in DM. So the next thing we need to do, now that we've got all of our data in DM, is we need to say, well, how do we get our search up and working? So from our customer list page here, we've got a DM search button. How do we get this to show? And we do that through our Autoform DM applications here. So the one that we're going to be looking at for this example is our DM search. Just click edit here. So again, give it a sensible name. We've selected the connection that we used earlier. Our search application here, search docs, you'll see this is the system name that we reference. So that is coming from here, the system name, not the label. You see they're different. And then we can define a label to show in Dynamics. So this is just a language text. You can set that to be whatever you want. We do have the option to add some security here, either to a table or a group. The standard security you configure in finance and operations. At the moment I've left this as all because it's just a test. And then we're defining where do I want to show my menu button. So I've set accounts receivable, customers, cost table list page. And we can see that is where my button is. So then what we need to do is pull through all the information linked to this. So we can click on update. And even though this was already there, we can see based on our search application here, these are our Autoform DM keys, which are linked to these document definitions. So this is just mimicking the configuration that we had in DM. So up until this point, that's all we've been doing. We've been pulling through the config really and setting up the basic structure. What we need to do now is go into form links, And this is where we start to get a little bit more specific. So not only have we got a form where the button is being showed, but we're saying show it after the delete button on that table, on that form, sorry, and use this label. So we can see after the delete button using our DM search label. And then that's where the button goes. But what we actually need to define is what does DM use to search? So we're searching with our customer name key. So that's one of the keys that we pulled through when we got the metadata. And we know that based on the application that we've linked to here, our customer name key is one of our search keys. So we've said it's a field value that we want to put in there, and it equals third-party table name. So we've set that at the bottom here, field value, third-party table name. So what we're essentially saying here is search in the application which is named here based on this key with this value from finance and operations. So we're doing the equivalent of going into our Autoform DM instance here, going to our application, going to DM search, and hard coding our customer name. This is what we're searching for. So now that's configured, what we've got is on our customer page, our DM search button in the place that we want it. And we've got customer name Contoso Europe from our third-party table name, and it's using the application that we expect it to. So these are all of the different files which are linked to that Contoso Europe customer within Autoform DM. We get our preview there. So that's the first half of the integration. We're able to, from within finance and operations, view the information which is in DM, using the specific search functionality which is part of DM, but without having to log into anything special. So that's the first part. But what we also want to be able to do is, when we run a report from finance and operations, send it to DM. So we want to use it as our archiving system for FO. And the way that we do that is by going into our LazyNet configuration here. And there's a couple of things that we need to add. So I'm just going to go sort of back to front here. So starting off at the end, our DM upload module. This is how we get our output from our LazyNet configuration into DM. And then once it's in DM, the process that we've just set up allows us to view it as a user. But we do need to add in this DM upload module, give the base URL, which was the DNS name that we configured earlier, and the username and password. That allows us to connect to DM. Then we need to pull through some of the document keys that we configured just by using this add button here. So we just need to add all of the different keys that we're going to use into our DM upload module. One other thing that we need to do is on the pre-job infos, the DM instance is always going to expect a file name. So on our DM upload module, we've added a new job info, which is called file name, capital F, capital N. This is what DM is expecting. In this instance, I've set a standard job info out file original name, which is part of the default configuration. If you're using a custom configuration, you can use a custom job info here. So I've also added some criteria for the documents which get sent to DM. So in this instance, just for our testing, I've made it to only send sales invoices or sales confirmations, but you could add this as for everything, for example, success, or set it up as a custom destination, add whatever sort of criteria you would normally use. So what we need to do next is to work on the form. If we look at our sales confirmation here, this form references a document type in Autoform DM. So this is a sales confirmation. We had a document definition for sales confirmation in DM. That document definition had two keys attached to it. So if we go into sheet, and bear in mind we're on the PDF here, it's the PDF that we're storing. I'm going to go to sheet options, pre-job infos, and there's some job infos that we've set here. So the two which are linked to our document definition, the file name and the customer name, and again the system name, not the label we used here, we've picked up the standard job infos and giving them a name here. So this is what's going to identify in our DM system the keys that we can use to search for the document. And then this document definition is telling us what type of document it is. So capital D, document definition. This is the same as the file name on the Autoform DM output module. DM is just expecting this name here. So regardless of what other keys you've created or what your value for your document definition is, this is always going to be the name of your job info. So if we look at our sales confirmation, go to Cave Wholesale, that's a returned order, Cave Wholesales here. Generate a confirmation, send it to the screen. So at this point, it's just a standard LaserNet process, yeah? We've printed a confirmation, it's got sent through the default configuration, generated a form for us, sent the output to the screen. But we've also, because we configured that extra configuration in the modules here, sent a copy to the DM upload module, which has sent it to DM. So if we look for Cave Wholesales in DM, we should find the sales order confirmation linked to this. Yeah. So here's our confirmation. And we should also be able to find that from our customer. If we go to our DM search, there it is. So that's the integration between finance and operations and DM. We're doing a little bit of configuration in DM, importing that configuration into finance and operations, and using it to define our search criteria, adding a button to a form. Then we're adding an output module to our configuration, which will send any documents which we define to DM. So we're creating a full cycle there. So that's the way that the DM integration works.